Update: divorcing my husband for asking to be polyamorous. We have 3 new updates. Timestamps in the comments. Original post: this is really upsetting to me on all accounts, and I'm getting mixed opinions from the few real-life people I've talked to about it, so I could use the advice of total strangers. I, 26 female, and my husband, 27 male, have been married for just over a year and together for 4. We spent a long time before getting married, talking about what we wanted out of being married, so I thought we were on the same page about all the important things. I do love him very much. He is sweet, helpful, and generally my dream partner until last week. Out of the blue, he sat down one night and said he wanted to talk about something. I thought it was just something minor he was frustrated about, or a bad day at work or something. Instead, he talked about how he found out that his best guy friend and his wife are polyamorous. He and his friend have been talking about it more, and he thinks he might like to try it, and wondered what I thought. I felt instantly sick to my stomach. We've always had a great sex life, and he's never given me any reason to think he was interested in anyone else. I told him that I'm not interested in being in a polyamorous relationship. I want to be monogamous with him for the rest of my life. If it had stopped there, I don't think it would have gotten so bad, but then he asked if I would read about it and then decide. I said no, I already know how I feel about it. He asked if I would at least think about it, and for some reason, that just did something to me. Like instant revulsion, kind of upset. I got up and told him that I was too upset to keep talking and that I needed some space, so I would sleep in the guest room that night and we could talk later. Ever since that night, I've had the biggest ick anytime I see him. He keeps trying to backtrack, but I know he meant what he said about wanting to be polyamorous. It's not so much that he brought it up, it's the 2 other asks after I already said I would never be comfortable with it. It's like that didn't matter to him. He thought he could convince me, and it makes me feel awful. What else is he going to pressure me about if I say no? And if he already wants to sleep with someone else, how can I ever trust him not to do it behind my back? I'm still sleeping in the guest room, and I'm thinking of just asking for a divorce now, when it would be simpler to divide everything up and go our separate ways, instead of waiting until years down the line when I get my heart broken. He could go do whatever he wants, and I could find someone who just wants a good, solid, monogamous relationship with me. The idea is killing me, but I feel like it's going to hurt now no matter what I do. While I do still love him, I don't think I can ever unhear and unsee my husband asking me for an open relationship, and the idea of him touching me makes me feel ill. He's upset and frustrated that I'm punishing him for asking a question, but I honestly don't know what he expected to happen. There is a part of me that thinks maybe divorcing him is being overdramatic, but also, the ick is so strong that I don't have much hope of getting back to where we were. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. I don't think it's overdramatic to get out of a contract you signed with another person when they are trying to change the terms a year into it. That's a powerful way to say it, and it takes the emotional side out of the picture enough to realize it makes perfect sense. That, and the fact that if your husband gives you the ick, it's obviously over. Plain as day. This will upset someone, but a man who will share you sexually doesn't love you. Odds are he's banking on her not being poly, but accepting him having a side piece. He knows that I do not have sex outside of committed loving relationships. I waited a while until we had sex, and he was my first. Even if I was okay with polyamory, I would never pursue it personally because that's not how I'm built. The thought of having multiple partners at once is just off-putting. I'm pretty sure that is part of his calculus here, thinking that I'll never pursue it, so he'll have all the benefit and none of the difficulty. Why do people jump to divorce as the only move? Why not seek therapy first? I don't think therapy is going to get rid of the ick I feel. Like, I would try it if he was willing, but I think maybe the horse has already left the barn on this one. I don't think there's anything he or a therapist could say that would take away the absolute disgust I feel for him right now. This marriage is over and you need to get out. And I definitely would not have unprotected sex with this man because he's likely already cheating. I don't think that will be a problem right now. I don't even want to be touched, but I probably will take some advice from the thread and get an STI test to be on the safe side. Edit/mini updates. Gosh, this got a lot of replies. I'm reading through them as best I can. I'm going to take the advice to get an STI test, and my gyno is going to work me in today for that. I don't think he would physically cheat, but better safe than sorry. I do think there is probably someone he's interested in, possibly his friend's wife, or maybe even his friend. He's never expressed being bisexual, but that doesn't mean he isn't. I don't know them very well, so I can't speculate on their role in all of this. I'm going to be charitable and assume there are no machinations from their end, and he just picked this up from his friend and ran with it. I want to be clear that I am not ignoring him. We can talk about whatever else is going on, but I'm not ready to continue this conversation with him, and he knows that. I want to be calm for that, and his behavior is not really conducive to a sense of calm right now. Every time he brings it up, makes me a little more disgusted with him, but he seems intent on digging the hole instead of letting things settle. That, and not taking the first no for an answer, is a bigger issue than the poly ask for me. I think I'm going to meet with a lawyer just to go over options. At this point, I don't have a lot of faith in counseling changing how I feel about him now, but I would be willing to try a few sessions to say we gave it a shot. I'll throw that out there tonight and see what he says. Edit 2. He doesn't think counseling is necessary. He just wants to go back to the way things were before bringing it up. I've told him that's not an option. You can't unbreak a bone. It has to heal instead. I asked him if he had someone in mind and he said no, but he's not a very good liar and I don't really believe him. He says it was just an idea and there's no one and nothing has happened, but he also doesn't want to show me the messages between him and his friend so I can understand the content of the conversation they had. I will respect his choice, but it's enough to convince me that there's something he's hiding, even if it's not an affair in progress, and that's a problem. I've got an appointment with a lawyer in a few days. I'm going to wait until after that to make a decision, and I'm going to take a short trip alone to see my grandparents this weekend to get some fresh air and perspective. I'll try to update next week after all the test results come back and I've had a chance to look at all the facts with a professional. Thank you for the kind support and advice. Now for the full update. I took advice from the thread and got an STI panel done. Fortunately, it came back clear. I suggested counseling, but my husband does not think it's necessary. I doubt it will change my feelings, so I'm not going to push for it. He is being overly protective of his phone after I asked to see a message conversation between him and his poly friend to understand the context of the situation. I would not violate his privacy, but there clearly is something he doesn't want me to see, and that's enough. It doesn't matter to me anymore whether there is something already in progress or just the desire for there to be. The shadiness of his behavior tells me what I need to know. I've been tempted to contact his friends directly to get their take, but in the event there is infidelity happening, I would rather not burden myself with the details, to be honest. I had a heart-to-heart with my grandparents this weekend and spoke with a lawyer yesterday. As of right now, I'm planning to move forward with the divorce. With no kids and no joint property or debt, since we were waiting to buy a house until I'm finished with residency, it should be easy to split the financials. The lease on our apartment is up in a couple of months anyway, so I plan to move out after breaking the news and just pay my portion of the rent on the current place until it's renewal time. I'm heartbroken, but I'm convinced that this is the best move. I don't trust him anymore. I'm repulsed by his behavior since the ask, and I think it's best to cut our losses before digging the hole deeper. If he were willing to be transparent and do something to work on re-establishing trust, it would be different, but that's not the case. And I don't want to put in effort that he's not interested in putting in. I will be fine with time. So yeah, not a happy ending, but I think it's in my best overall interest. And if he's not happy with monogamy a year into marriage, his best interest as well. Hopefully, we can part ways quietly and without a lot of fuss. Residency? I didn't read the original post, but if you are going to be a doctor or whatever advanced professional, well, drop his butt as fast as you can. I'm sure your lawyer told you, but do it before you sign a contract for your future salary. What a piece of turd. Sorry you're going through this. My lawyer said the exact same thing. He's working on preparing to file now, so hopefully a month from now I'll be moved out, X will have been served, and most of the rest can be handled through the lawyers. I guess one bright side of this is that I can move closer to work now, so I can get a little more sleep between shifts instead of commuting. You don't think this is a happy ending right now, but future you is gonna be so glad you left. Oh, peace now. X has no idea the amount of work and effort you have to put into being polyamorous. Never mind the amount of communication that has to happen. He doesn't actually want to be polyamorous. He just wants to sleep with other people. Joke will be on him, because he severely overestimated his market value. The internet seems to have a lot of dudes convinced they can have something that's basically polygamy. Lol, good luck with that. Man, I would love to hear his response to knowing he set fire to his whole life. Bet he's willing to go to counseling once divorce is on the table. That's what my soon-to-be ex-husband did, and he was shocked to learn that the window for it had passed. And what do you mean I can't just go back and undo that massive mistake I made? That's the new favorite fad. Immediately scheduling therapy or counseling when the partner walks or when they get caught cheating. Personally, that would be insult to injury to me, and all the more reason to dump them. Someone running to therapy because they realize you're walking is being disingenuous. They're just fumbling for a delay. The time to do it honestly was before the fallout happened. Now for the second update. Well, affair confirmed. The people who thought his poly friends were the ones involved called it right. The wife contacted me to come clean and apologize because they were both unaware I didn't know until now. They thought we had a don't ask, don't tell situation, so no fault to them. He lied to them too. It's been going on for a few months. A fellow resident needs a roommate, so I'm moving in with her in 2 weeks. My dad and uncle are going to come down to help and be my safety exit plan when I tell him it's over. The saddest part to me is that he's been a closeted bisexual all this time. He could have told me that at any point in the relationship, and I would have supported him or helped him get whatever support he needed. I'm hoping he'll be amenable to doing this quietly and quickly, because I know his family will lose their minds if they find out the whole situation, and I don't want that for him, as hurt as I am about it. I'm going to focus on work. My soon-to-be roommate is going through a significant breakup as well, so I think we'll be good for each other. It's going to be okay eventually. Third update. I never thought I would be saying this. It was just confirmed today. He's been seeing a polyamorous couple that I thought were just friends for a few months. He asked me about opening up our relationship to polyamory a few weeks ago, and I said no, and things have gone downhill since. I've already been preparing to leave because his behavior crossed a line, and I knew in my heart something more was going on, even if I didn't have evidence. The wife of the couple called me to apologize and explain because he finally confessed to them that I didn't know. She wanted to make sure I knew and that they never would have engaged with him if they had known I wasn't on board. I don't blame them. He was lying to everyone. I didn't even know he was bisexual. I never saw this coming in the 4 years we've been together. We talked about monogamy and my strong feelings about it before we got married. He totally agreed. I thought we were really happy. There aren't a lot of people I can talk to about this, especially now that I know the full story. His family are religious conservatives and would probably disown him, and I don't want that. My parents and one set of grandparents know I'm leaving him, but not the exact reasons. They support me with or without knowing, but I don't want to tell them the new info. I don't want to bring this to mutual friends either. Nothing good will come of it. I just feel so sad and empty right now. Leaving is the best thing, and I'm committed to it, especially now. But I wonder if I ever really knew him. The person I dated and married would have never done this to me. I'm just glad it happened before we got too deep into being married. I can't imagine having to go through this with kids to protect. He doesn't know I know yet. I'm moving in with a coworker who needs a roommate, so I think I'm going to let it ride until I'm out and the petition is filed. But I also feel sick about going home in a few minutes and looking at him, knowing. Top comments before the last update. So he was actively in a relationship with both the husband and wife? Wonder if his deception is a deal breaker for them continuing with him. Ugh, I'm so sorry this is happening. I'm not shocked in the least. What made him confess? Were they pressing to meet you, and that's why he finally came clean? I think the catalyst was that, after he asked to open our relationship and kept hounding me about it when I said no, I was getting too close to finding out the truth. So he went to them for emotional support. The wife said that she has broken up with him over it, but her husband was still deciding what to do. He still hasn't said a word about it to me. The cowardice of it all is grotesque. Hi, I really didn't want it to be true, but after he refused to show you his phone, I was on high alert. I'm so sorry. You sound like such a great girl. You didn't deserve any of it. I have to say, I'm really glad the women involved were the honest ones, lol. But I'm absolutely appalled at the behavior of the other man. I thought honesty was paramount in poly relationships, so I really don't understand his hesitation. How can anyone support this? If he only cheated with women, would you still be protecting him? I would have fewer qualms about his family knowing. I think his parents would be angry at him for cheating with a woman, but they would get over it. If they find out he's bi and involved in polyamory, they would probably just cut him off and never speak to him again. One of his cousins was kicked out for being gay. It could affect his work as well. I think he deserves consequences for cheating, but not for being bi. That's too far. Now for the last update. So many people have been asking to know how things went after I told my soon-to-be ex that I was filing for divorce. I finally have a minute to post after a very busy week. I ended up expediting the timeline a little as his behavior was starting to become concerning. Brief up to date, my husband asked for a polyamorous relationship. I said no. He badgered me about it and refused to give me space, then got mad when I refused to discuss it or sleep in the same bed with him while I was trying to calm down. His behavior gave me the ick so badly that I decided it was best to divorce and saw a lawyer to begin the process. My suspicions that there was already something going on were confirmed when the wife of a poly couple that he was friends with contacted me to tell me that he had been involved with them for a few months and had confessed that I didn't know. They broke up with him as a result. The call from the affair partners coincided with my ex trying very hard to apologize and make it right, but without admitting to cheating or anything else. A fellow resident was looking for a roommate, so I made plans to move in with her. I also let my parents and some close friends know the situation. My lawyer advised me to talk to my ex before papers were served, so I had planned to have the talk right before moving out, which set up an uncomfortable situation in which I was living with a cheating ex who didn't know I knew. The plan was originally to move out next weekend, but things took a bad turn this week. My ex started getting agitated that I wasn't responding to his attempts to smooth things over, and that ultimately escalated into him trying to get into bed with me against my wishes on Thursday. I was able to get an emergency leave from work and mostly moved out, while my ex was at work on Friday. My parents drove down and helped, and then stayed to be nearby when my ex got home. My lawyer filed Friday. He did not take it well. I told him I knew about the cheating and was filing for divorce. I also told him that I wanted to do this quietly, that I know his bisexuality puts him in a dangerous situation with his family, and it would be best if we kept the story at he cheated. He could contact me through my lawyer for any information. He yelled, broke down crying, and said he refused to accept the divorce, and that I should give him a chance to fix things. My dad came in and made sure he didn't try to stop me from leaving, and we left. I called the in-laws on the way and told them that I was divorcing him for cheating, and that I appreciated them welcoming me into their family and wished them all well, but I would probably not be in contact again. His parents were shocked, but they reacted with a lot more grace than I expected. I blocked my ex on everything but email because I can't deal with him. My parents had gotten an Airbnb, so I crashed with them and basically fell apart. At this point, I moved in. That part of my life is over. My ex is apparently suicidal, according to a mutual friend. I hope he gets help because his behavior in the last few weeks has really been strange. So I do wonder if he's experiencing some kind of mental health episode. It doesn't change the fact that I'm done. I'm not okay, but I will be. I'm just going to focus on work and taking care of myself for a while. This is probably my last update, as I want to turn toward the future. Thank you to those who have offered support and advice. I really do appreciate it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my son's African-American girlfriend that she can wear a wig even if my son doesn't want her to? I'm 37 female, a white woman, out of my depth on this topic, and too scared to ask anyone who is African American face to face. My son's 14 first girlfriend is an African American girl, 13 female, who we'll call Nina. Usually when I see her, she's a bubbly social butterfly. She smiles a lot and is very talkative. Recently, I noticed Nina seeming less confident the times I saw her. Her change in demeanor was the most noticeable, but I also noticed the recent lack of wig, makeup, and jewelry. I didn't even realize the two things were connected. One day, I was driving them to a party. My son was upstairs, and Nina was downstairs. She looked like she was dreading going to this party, and I asked her what was wrong. She said she doesn't feel pretty. I asked her why, and she said she's still getting used to showing her natural hair. I asked her if she feels uncomfortable showing her hair. Why is she doing it? She said my son thinks she looks cooler this way. I told her I used to do things just to impress boys when I was her age. I told her she can wear a wig even if my son doesn't want her to. Days later, I've never seen my son more angry with me than that day. He said I'm a white woman and I shouldn't be advising a black girl how to look. He called me an overbearing mom and a Karen. I was too shocked to speak, as I had never seen him so angry. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole by millions of miles. I'm an African American woman, and I applaud you for helping that girl and giving her back some of the confidence that your son stripped from her. He's controlling, not you. You are being a woman and mother, not a Karen. You should have a talk with your son about how he should treat a girl, period. If he's like this at 14, I shudder to see him full grown. If he makes it that far with that attitude. Thank you. I kept second-guessing myself if I did the right thing. Not the a-hole. You gave her advice that applies to everyone, and it was good advice. Your bigger problem is that your son is a controlling prick. I, a woman, had great advice given to me by an older woman in my life. How a man or boy treats his mom is very telling as to how he will treat a significant other. And boy have those been words to live by, LOL. Your son, who I'm sure you have been instilling with your morals and values, was angry at you for giving a young woman advice. And I concur with everyone else. It was great advice. So angry it shocked you. Time for a talk with your boy. Find out how his morals and values have evolved to date. I suspect you may hear some alpha male type nonsense. He tried to control what his girlfriend wears in public and flipped out when he lost that control. Not the a-hole.